Re:Zero, Side Story, Bonds of Ice Prequel, Frozen Days, Chapter 1.
Emilia Summer, it seems you've been focusing on studying more than usual recently. Oh, really? It does, yes. I think that's a very good thing. Rem gave her praise, smiling as she poured tea for the now delighted Emilia. The place was inside Emilia's private quarters, within Roswell's mansion. Rem had been waiting for lunch break to bring refreshments to Emilia, who was studying in her room from morning up until dinner time. After bringing the warm brew to her lips, Emilia murmured, "So good." Seeing Rem gracefully stand up, she tilted her head. "Don't just disappear like a breeze, won't you have some tea too?" "Well, as of now, I'm a maid, but Ram often drinks tea with me. If Nay Summer does it, then there's no way I could refuse." Emilia chuckles, hearing Rem talk about her sister, Ram. The two sisters were very close, but Rem often tried to mimic Ram's behavior. Smiling at the love Rem held for her sister, Emilia looked pleased. "It seems like you really like Ram, Rem." "I'm kind of jealous, yes. There is only one Nay Summer, to say she is my son would be no exaggeration. Based on that, Subaru-kun would probably have to be the whole world to me, I suppose." "Sorry, but I don't really get what you just said." Emilia frowns at Rem, who was deeply concerned with the matter. A black-haired boy who just recently had come to the mansion, by the name of Natsuki Subaru. It was common knowledge that Rem didn't only hold Ram dear, but also that boy. Emilia and Rem had only known each other for half a year at most, but that past month, Rem had been smiling a lot. Emilia thought it made her look cuter. Subaru had been having a great influence on Rem's behavior, and on the frequency of her smiles. "Are you maybe, even just a bit, uneasy with Subaru?" In half a year, Emilia had been unable to close the distance with Rem. Next to that, Subaru, who came later, was easily able to overtake her progress by bringing out Rem's smile. Emilia knew she wasn't good at meeting new people, but that was fairly vexing for her. "Emilia Summer? Is there something on your mind?" "No, it's nothing. It's just, I was thinking I'd like to bring out your smile too." My smile? That's, thank you." Hearing Emilia's quiet words, Rem's voice slowly lowered as well. That was the exact opposite of what Emilia was trying to achieve. Her interpersonal skills really were lacking. Even though she was still studying, she was aiming to become the ruler of the kingdom of Lugnica. Shouldn't a ruler be able to make at least a single girl smile? "Since you brought this up, you say you're jealous of me and Nay Summer. Emilia Summer, do you not have any siblings?" "Me? No, I'm a single child. But Puck did come to meet me." As she poured herself a cup, Emilia invited Rem to sit on her bed. Hesitant at first, Rem accepted and gracefully lowered herself onto the bed. "Emilia Summer, you're really close to the Great Spirit, aren't you?" Yes. Just like Ram is to you, Puck is family to me. Like you said, he surely is the son to me." "The Great Spirit is your son, is he? What might Subaru-kun be to you, Subaru? Why so suddenly?" To me, Subaru is." "What is he?" Subaru. A cloud. He's like a cloud. He takes on a new shape every day and is always so full of energy. A boy with a hectic personality who never knows what to say or do, and who you never get tired of watching." As Emilia boasts her clever analogy, Rem mutters, "A cloud, you say? I see, understood. I will relay this to Subaru-kun as is." "Yeah, please do. Now, what were we talking about?" "About how close you are with the Great Spirit." Right. "Yes, well, we've always been together, so it's a given." With a smile, Emilia drew her quill over the white paper on her desk, picturing Puck's shape as she did. As she brought her eyelids to a close, she could vividly recall the time they'd spent together as a family. Looking at the finished drawing, Rem tilted her head. "That is. What kind of curse is that?" "A curse, what an odd joke. As you can see, that's a drawing of Puck." "As I can see." Witnessing her confidence as Emilia proudly held the drawing, Rem's expression got gloomier, prompting Emilia to furrow her brows. Rem averted her gaze from Emilia's depiction of the Great Spirit. "If I remember correctly, You stayed in your hometown in the forest with a great spirit, didn't you? That hometown was Elior Forest. Did you hear from Roswell? Yes. I heard it was a forest covered in ice, where snow never stops falling. And that you left your hometown to participate in the election. That is right. Because I want to release everyone from that ice. Emilia took another sip of tea and thought of its warmth. And of the people from her village, frozen in the forest. These kinds of thoughts would sometimes drift into her mind, even though all of them were asleep, deep within that ice-cold forest. Why was it she was able to smile? It would often happen when she felt joy. So it had been happening much more that past month especially. Sometimes I think, is it really okay? Although I didn't really think too much about it when I was living in the forest with Puck, it being, to laugh, to be happy, even though the others can't. Isn't it insensitive? Wasn't it cold-hearted? She doubted herself, who smiled as she spent time with Subaru and the others at the mansion, forgetting about the forest, wholeheartedly enjoying herself. I believe it is entirely legitimate. However, Rem looked straight into her eyes as she asserted this. Hearing Rem's unexpected answer, Emilia's eyes opened wide. Rem gently lowered her gaze towards her own cup of tea. Me and my sister too, we had a lot in our hometown. Now, spending time with her under Roswell's summer, I believe I am happy. But, I think about these things, too. About my hometown, about my family. About reuniting with my family. That's why, it is legitimate. And also why you can't give up just yet. Having said that, Rem suddenly gulped down the remainder of her tea. She then stood up from the bed and, still holding her cup, lowered her head. I'm very sorry, Emilia Summer. For stepping out of bounds as a maid. No, it's all fine. Besides, you really cheered me up. Shaking her head at Rem's apology, Emilia was short on words. As she thought about how this one sentence had just rescued her, she smiled lightly. Just then, she'd reflected on herself again. It was starting to become a frequent occurrence. Could it be that I've become a spoiled child, I wonder? I was thinking it would be fine to spoil you a little more than this. Deep down, I'm a lazy person, so I'll definitely end up being bothersome, you know. Rem answered Emilia's witty smile with a similar one. Then suddenly, the both of them burst out laughing and, for a moment, the spurt of laughter between the two girls wouldn't stop.
Chapter 2.
Emilia Summer, I don't hope Rem bothered you. Oh, Ram? No, really nothing like that. Rem had left the room to be replaced by Ram. As Emilia responded to Ram's inquiry, she tilted her head. It wasn't unusual for Ram to pay Emilia a visit, unless she had things to do. She didn't think Rem had any particular reason to though. Ram, did something happen? Did you forget? If there's anything you don't understand in the reference books, I'd like you to tell me about it. Oh. Right, that was the arrangement. Sorry, I'd completely forgotten. As her talk with Rem went, studying had completely left her head. Originally, Rem was only supposed to bring her tea and Ram had taken a break from her work to make some time to help Emilia. I really lost my thoughts earlier. How exasperating, is what I'd like to say, but it seems like Rem was in very good spirits. Because of her smile, I'll forgive you. All right, thanks. Sorry. I'll be more careful next time. Emilia accepted Ram's insolent remark without issue, and apologized. Ram crossed her arms in front of Emilia, who was treating her as the master. That aside, what did you talk about with Rem? When I asked Rem, she just said I should ask you directly and wouldn't tell me anything. Is that so? Then Rem probably wanted us to have a quiet conversation. She's always very considerate, a very thoughtful person. That was Emilia's evaluation. Ram puffed her chest and answered, that's a matter of course. Seeing how they both took pride in the achievements of the other, Emilia smiled lightly. It's not only Rem, I also want to bring out your smile, you know. How sudden. For you to throw lines right out of a love story, what might have happened? Right, it's a declaration of my resolve, I guess. Of what kind of ruler I'd like to become, someone to whom you can talk to reliably. Roswell taught me that too. So you want to see mine and Rem's smile? It doesn't sound unlike you, but it's a lot like Barusu's way of thinking. Subaru's. Emilia raised her eyebrows as Ram stiffened her cheeks for a moment, as if defeated, followed with a sigh. I spoke Barusu's name. Ah, you say that, but why? Is that a bad thing? It's not a bad thing, but it's just that I was afraid if he somehow heard this, Barusu, who is under the impression he matters at all, would get carried away. Wow, that phrasing was tough. But I see, that's what this was about. Putting her finger on her lips, Emilia widened her eyes in reaction to Ram's words. It hasn't been a month since Subaru got here. Even so, him being here feels very natural. It's really odd. You could also say we've had to put up with him for a month. I didn't say it like that. But it's not false. Ever since he came, Subaru has had no restraint, and he hasn't been very self-reliant, which isn't good. Somehow, it had become normal for him to be there. But the black-haired boy was originally only supposed to be a traveler stopping by the residence. He happened to work at the mansion for the time being, but someday, he wouldn't be there anymore. That will be sad, but there will also be things to rejoice about. You'd be happy if Barusu wasn't here. I see, that's what you really think. No, that's not it. I meant going to other places, seeing other things and things like that. Like when I left the forest. She hadn't heard much about Subaru's situation, but since he'd been traveling alone, she thought many things must have had happened. She wanted to hear about it someday. Although deplorable, Emilia wasn't able to freely talk about her circumstances, although it most likely wasn't the same. You might think that, but I doubt Barusu gave it much thought at all. That's not right. Rem also praises Subaru for being a hard worker. When Rem says something, I would normally agree right away, but when it comes to Barusu I can't agree. There you go again saying things like that. Oh, I get it. Hearing Ram's harsh answer, Emilia lowered her eyebrows and clasped her hands. Then, you're feeling left out, right? Because Subaru gets along so well with Rem. Wait, Emilia Summer. It's the other way around. The fact that Rem is attached to Barusu is what annoys me. I don't care about Barusu being attached to Rem. That's a cruel mistake. Is that so? Yes. Apologize right now. I'm sorry. Hanging her head in defeat, Emilia apologized to the upset Ram. Letting out a frustrated groan. You don't need to get that angry. In my case, Puck gets picked up by Beatrice a lot, but it doesn't bother me at all. Isn't that just a consequence of the fact that the Great Spirit chose you? ? You don't think Rem can choose for herself? How cunning of you. Emilia gave a wry smile to Ram, who muttered this in a low voice as she averted her gaze. She didn't think that Ram would admit to anything though, but as I thought, even for you it has become normal for Subaru to be here. I'm supposed to be an instructor today, but it seems my student is being extremely impertinent. Is someone who aims to be a ruler unable to show respect to their superiors? That was a really mean thing to say, you know. What superior would a ruler need to show respect to? If she'd used that provocative argument, it would only have worsened Ram's mood, and would have been trouble for her, so she didn't say anything. Her chat with Ram ended then, and she lined her questions regarding the reference books on top of the desk. Chit-chat time was over, and she got back to studying until dinner. A lot has changed, but this is still my work to do. But, looking back, I really should have studied more when I lived in the forest. With the Great Spirit as a teacher, I guess you must have had nice lessons. You think so? I guess you would, but Puck is surprisingly strict. Mixing in some of that reminiscent talk, Emilia listened to Ram with one ear and remained immersed in her studies. The forest, it had been a while. For so long with Puck, in that white scenery. Leaving that place behind, she persevered, aiming for an absurdly high goal. It felt strange, but she would still remain happy and gradually progress, while keeping the people that are frozen at Elior Forest inside the corners of her mind. That's all I can do for now. At dinner time, she would have to answer, Emilia Tan, what do you think of clouds? To which she would tilt her head and say, laughing, clouds? They're white, fluffy and look like they'd taste good, leaving the troubled boy perplexed. But that's another story.